Hello, lovelies. Last time you saw us, we were in Paris, getting on a flight to the beautiful city of Barcelona, Spain. This was the final destination on our Europe trip, and this is the view from the rooftop of our hotel. This was also the pool at the rooftop of our hotel. So first things first, we started off our first day there with a walking tour on La Rambla, the most popular street in Barcelona for tourists. And then our tour director showed us this magical fountain, where legend has it that if you drink from this fountain, then you will be returning to Barcelona. There's a plaque on the ground next to it that explains this legend in Latin. And obviously our whole tour group had to drink the water so we could come back someday. Another really cool and popular thing on this street is La Boqueria, which is this very vibrant market where you can buy all kinds of different foods, all of it fresh, like fresh fruits and vegetables, and traditional homemade dishes, and fresh caught seafood. It was really a fun experience in that market, and the food was amazing. Then the next day we went to visit the park that was designed by the very famous Spanish architect Antoni Gowdy. And boy was it a sight to see. Definitely one of the coolest parks that I've ever been to. So essentially what Gowdy was all about in a nutshell was bringing elements of nature into his architecture. Because those are the two things that he loved most, were architecture and nature. And you can definitely see that influence in all of his work. It made his designs so different from any other type of architecture that you're used to seeing, because there's curves and textures and vibrant colors where there normally wouldn't be. If this area looks familiar to you, it's because you've probably seen it on the Disney movie The Cheetah Girls too. Gowdy really was ahead of his time architecturally. Everything was so innovative while also being functional. He even incorporated recycled pieces you'd find in the trash into his tile work. You might recognize this area as another iconic scene from the Cheetah Girls movie. After the park, we got to go to another scene from the Cheetah Girls, but it had a really great view of the city from that location. On the way back into town, we got to see two of the old bullfighting arenas, which are still standing and just repurposed after bullfighting was outlawed. And we had a nice sizzling lunch right outside of the main event that we were going to see that day, which was the Sagrada Familia Basilica. This was another one of Gaudy's works, probably his most famous one, and his last one before he died. This church is obviously famous for being under construction for over 100 years now, and it's still not finished. This is a cool little model of what it will look like when it's finished. The parts in yellow are the areas that they still need to build. Now, I was excited to see this famous church from the outside, but I was absolutely not prepared for how amazing it was going to be from the inside. Take a look. Where do I even begin to describe how incredibly breathtaking the inside of this church was? I mean, the pillars are built to make you feel like you're in a forest because they resemble trees. The ceiling resembles the canopy of a forest. The stained glass windows are even meticulously planned out, as the east side windows are more cooler toned colors to reflect the morning light, and the west side windows are warmer toned to reflect the evening sunset lighting. The staircases are built in spiral designs inspired by leaves spiraling to the ground as they fall from the trees. Even the columns are hollow and lit through skylights. And of course, with it being the tallest church in the world, its massive size really does add to the effect of feeling like you're in a forest. Eric and I were so in awe of this place that we went back inside after our tour of it was over, just to sit there for longer and marvel at it. Then later that evening, we went for tapas and sangria, and then went to see a flamenco show. And then on our final day in Barcelona, we spent the morning at the beach, at least trying to soak up the sun, but then it started raining. Then we came back into town to have lunch at this really cool place our tour director recommended called El Nacional, which had a bunch of restaurants inside of it along with a few bars and even a gelato shop. And the vibe was just very cool. We really enjoyed that place and we went back twice while we were there in Barcelona. This place probably also had the best tapas and sangria that we had while we were there. Even the powder rooms there were cool. Look at this cute mirror I found. After that, we walked around the city some more and looked at more of Gowdy's architecture throughout the city. It was pretty easy to tell which of the buildings were his designs just because of how wild they looked compared to everything else. And then finally it was time for our farewell dinner with our tour group. We had to say goodbye to all the wonderful friends we made along the way and got to just all hang out one last time before we all had to fly back home. Now this sunrise was definitely beautiful on our way out of the city, but we had to leave our hotel at 3 a.m. that morning, so we were very tired and couldn't quite take in everything. But I, of course, had to at least watch the sunrise before I fell asleep on the plane. The ride home was about a 10-hour flight, so I watched the entire Queen Charlotte series from start to finish as we flew from our connecting flight in Amsterdam to LAX, and then from LAX back home to our beautiful little city of Albuquerque. And that wraps up our second Europe trip with EF Ultimate Break. I hope you guys enjoyed watching these videos and following us along on our adventures. And I'll see you guys in my next vlog. Until then, te quiero mucho.
So excited to see you. Oh my God.